Get in!
Get in.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC, and this is the reaction show, a positive reaction for a show for a change to Tottenham Hotspur versus Newcastle United. And thanks for everyone for joining us. You are looking well on this. What's it? Wednesday evening. I think it's Wednesday. But before we get into the team news, people are probably wondering why we didn't have a reaction show last night. There's a bit of a story there. Some of us were here waiting to do a show. Others, who will remain nameless, were not. They were away on their travels. Pete, someone hasn't been back yet. It must have been a good night. But Pete, how was it for you? And tell us about the game.
Yeah, it was a great night. It turned into a perfect night with the 3 points that you just talked about, Dad, that we'll get into in the show. That's for sure. But no, great to be there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Unfortunately, not in the weigh-in, but yeah, we're in the hospitality suite. The very, very nice hospitality suite, I have to say. Very, very impressive at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And yeah, so we had to go in sort of like all spy-like, all stealth-like into the home ends of things. But to be fair, in the end, we might as well have been in the way me and Chris were going on, so it didn't even matter. But no, it was all good. It was all good. Good experience, and even better to get the points, mate. I'm not gonna lie.
Cool. I must ask you later in the show how it compares to the Newcastle hospitality that we've enjoyed in the barracks in the past. But we'll get to that later in the show. As we mentioned, Chris will be along. Chris is still making his way back from London, so he should be with us shortly. But let's get on to the actual team news and the game and everything in between. This was the team news for Newcastle. No Hall. Dan Burn left back. We're back to those days. No striker. Wissa and Big Nick on the bench. Anthony Gordon, or Tony Gord, as I like to call him now, up front. Miley had a setback as well, so he's going to be we won't see him anytime soon, let's say. Tonali is on the bench as well. This was the Spurs side. And as TNT like to remind us, they had a lot of injuries. They put up a full team of players that were injured. No, in fairness, they do have a lot of injuries, but we all have our own problems. What did you make of the team, Pete?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's a bit of a surprise, just because shooting straight down south from work, and trying to get parking, which was just a nightmare. I hadn't properly caught the team news. I hadn't properly looked at it. I'd seen that it popped up for a notification. Didn't see what it was until I was entering the stadium along with Chris. And he was like, have you seen the news? And I was like, no. And he's like, Burn left back. I was like, what have we put ourselves in for here? We might as well turn around and go back. But no, it was a surprise. Obviously, there has been talk about the fact that Hall needed to be rested along the way. I was just surprised it was this game because of how much was riding on it after Saturday's defeat. So I would have thought if there was any game that we're going to play him, it was this one. But look, Eddie's there to make the big calls. Sometimes he'll get them wrong, sometimes he'll get them right. Turns out, from our benefit, it was perfectly called. Yeah, it's surprising with Anthony Gordon or Tony Gordon, as you like to call him. Good old Tony Gordon up front. Again, I think it's very much a calling to the three strikers, should I say, sitting on the bench, as if to say, come take his spot, because when he's on, he does the role that Eddie Howe wants him to do and what is intended to help the team. And it's a case of come in and do better and put the ball in the back of the net and show us that you can start these games for Newcastle United, because the form of the strikers in particular Big Nick and Wissa haven't been great. They haven't been missing chances, not doing things within the role correctly. There's been that concern for a while. So it's a surprise, because obviously when you've got how much talent is on the bench, you'd expect one of them to start. But look, Eddie Howe made the call, and he's made it before, and I'm sure he will do it again. So they were kind of the big surprises for me. No real surprise that Tonali was on the bench. No real surprise that Ramsey and Willock were started, just because Tonali hasn't been playing well, and I think rightly so. Really glad. Last thing, really glad that Elanga started. I think I was annoyed that he didn't start against Brentford. I think he should have, and I was glad he was. But in from your perspective, Daz, anything to add on that with regards to the lineup? What was your reactions to Burn, Gordon, and any other?
Yeah, look, I got to find out through Chris as well, because he got there before me and checking the team, and I kind of just read Chris's message. I saw, and he said they had Burn left back and no Anthony Gordon up front. I said, right, that's it. I'm going to have a shower. And then I didn't look at the team again until I sat down to watch the match. And then I looked at it and I go, Tonali's on the bench as well. Oh, Jesus. And I said to you guys, cash in those tickets. Cash in now and go home. But because I was sure we weren't going to end up in having a good night after that. But hey, in Eddie we trust when it comes to these situations, and he does kind of like to surprise us every now and again. But yeah, I wasn't looking forward to Dan Burn left back. Really, that was my big worry, more than anything else. Especially when there's nothing wrong with Hall, but I know I give him a rest. But let's get into a bit of the game. Yeah, so first half, Spurs nearly put Newcastle one up with a corner with a deflection over. Now, and as well as that, jump in here, Peter, anything, because you're going to have a different view and different perspective from watching it, being there than watching on the TV, as always. For anyone that's gone to a game, you'll know that situation. 3 minutes in, Botman unlucky with reaction as the ball flies over the Spurs net. Early signs in the first 7 minutes that Dan Burn being done for pace at left back. That was my worry. 8 minutes then, Willock unlucky as his shot skims past the post. In 10 minutes, Barnes flick on the ball from Elanga, and that was saved. Newcastle with the better of the chances in the opening 15 minutes as the corners start to rack up. Then on the 28 minutes, Ramsey volley deflected for a corner. Let's zoom forward a bit then to 43 minutes, because Bruno with a through ball to Ramsey with a through ball to Willock with a cut inside and finish into the bottom corner. Bang! Willock gets what he's deserved, and he has upped the ante, I suppose, in the last number of weeks. He's like we were saying, cash in now. He's not falling over, but he has started to play really well, and it gets a goal that he deserved, or did he? Because then it went to a possible offside, and VAR landed this, where his eyebrow has got him ruled offside. And if you look at his Insta as well, he says that he even got a fresh trim before the game. So what can you do? What can you do? But that was ruled off. But let's get your thoughts on that first, Pete, on Willock's goal that should have stood.
I'm kind of glad that he sort of made light of it after the game, because I'd still be fuming if it was me, because he's done everything right. He's done everything right. But like, first and foremost, you mentioned in the early part of the game the flurry of corners. Me and Chris were talking about like how many corners we're having, and at one point considering putting a bet on how many more corners we get until half time. We just have a discussion about
that's Chris's influence.
Yeah, of course it is. But no, it was crazy. Like we dominated that early part. We penned them right in, and corner after corner after corner. We do need to take chances with these corners. Yeah. Eventually, a move works out in the end. But these corners, we're getting so many of them. We need to be good at them because we could actually capitalize significantly with the amount of corners that we have in a game. But going back to the Willock goal, great move from the lads. Beautiful ball through. There was a few minutes earlier in the game, just before Willock gets this chance to score, where Harvey Barnes does a really lovely jinking run for about 15, 20 yards with the ball. And Joe Willock's made that same run on the last man, and he's waiting, and he's almost kind of arms out, ready for it. And it is in because there's actually no one marking him at that time. And Barnes, I think, goes for the wide pass. I think it might have been out to Gordon, who was out on the left at that time. And I said to Chris at the time, I was like, he needed that ball because he's making these runs. He's literally on the last man, making that run beyond Gordon. And he didn't get it, but I was so glad he got that second one because as soon as he was in, we did not think he was offside at all. It looked bang on level. And obviously the linesman didn't either, but I have to say that the cut-in and the finish is superb. It really is. Like, that's the kind of finishing we've been missing at Newcastle United. That's what we've been missing all season. Like that little, we get a move, we get in and behind, and then we make them pay. And that's what we needed. We needed to make them pay in that moment. It was a lovely finish inside. If we can see that more from the likes of Willock and Ramsey, that would be absolutely superb for us, taking us forward. And it was a well-deserved 1-0 for as long as it lasted, because we deserved to be in the lead.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Commentators even said it was a matter of time before we got that goal because we were by far the better team in that match. We were kind of jumping up like with our hands underneath us, kind of giving it one of those because it was right in front of us as well. We were literally level with the goal, like right in line with the goal, so we could see the finish. He ran over to the corner where we were to celebrate, it was a great finish. But I mean, come on, VAR, seriously, are we really ruling out goals for that? It was no involvement with his head at all. You know what? I would understand it if that gets ruled out because he scores the goal with his head. I would understand it then because it's that part of the body that's influenced the goal. But the ball's on the ground. It stays on the ground. His feet were onside. He then puts the ball in the back of the net with his right foot. No involvement with his head at all. I mean, come on. The game's gone.
I suppose his head is attached to the rest of him, Pete. But yeah, we can't do anything about that. But yeah, look, I wish I know you have some footage, and not at this stage, but for later in the show, maybe in the next call. But I wish there was footage of yourself and Chris when that, because that would be priceless. The footage you try to contain yourselves. But okay, we don't have to wait long because on the 50th minute, Willock ball in, Malick Thiaw header, and Malick Thiaw with the follow-up, and he puts Newcastle 1 up. Here's the header. He gets our goal that we much deserved, and would have been a shame if we had gone in at halftime not being ahead. But that's it, Malick Thiaw with the goal. Here's some of the celebrations. But Pete, I want to get your thoughts on the goal and maybe even the clip.
Yeah. Again, we were holding on to hope because there was a lengthy injury time with Odegaard going off injured. We knew there was going to be an injury time, and then I think there was a stoppage for, of course, the VAR as well. So we're thinking, with us putting loads of pressure on us. On Spurs, can we get the goal? Can we do something? Have to say, it's a lovely worked piece of play from Elanga into Willock. The ball from Willock is absolutely superb. The amount of crosses in the last 3 or 4 games that barely beat the first man, but that cross whipped in with pace right to the back post. Malick Thiaw up, big header in. Obviously, from where our angle was, it just looked a little bit all messy. The Spurs players were all over jumping all over themselves. They're all over the place. And we thought that they were just going to clear it because they were. It's weird because Malick Thiaw wins the header, but both of the centre backs are actually in front of him, and Thiaw manages to just muscle his way past them to get to stab the ball home, and he just completely dominates the Spurs defenders to get in front of that. And from Spurs' perspective, it's a comedy of errors. Really poor defending from them, but from a Newcastle United perspective, really good attacking play, and Malick Thiaw not giving it up, getting onto the rebound. I love it. I think from the angle from behind the goal, they showed it where he's kind of powering through both of the defenders to get the last touch to kind of nod it home. And he's getting literally pulled by his shirt and his top. He's getting pulled back like constantly, and he just kind of powers through and then just pokes it home into that corner. Lovely goal. Great celebrations over in the corner, as you may be able to see in just a second. So let me.
Cheery up.
You can see the empty seats, can't you? You can see the empty seats all in front of us. Now, that's not because of the goal. That was happening beforehand. When Willock scored the ruled out goal, a lot of fans around us, hospitality in front, a lot of them just got up and was like, yeah, we've had enough. We're going into the back. And they were already in there. As soon as that goal goes in, there's then another row of people that just get up and disappear. But the Newcastle fans were loud. They were just making noise. Brilliant away end. It looked like. So anyone that was in it, I imagine it was absolutely top. And I love the celebration from Malick Thiaw at one point. He kind of like he gives one of these to the away end, and then he sort of turns to the Spurs fans and he just points to the badge. Just lets them know. Just lets them know he's there. I love it. Love it.
Nice. I might get you to flick back the tab again, Pete, because lost my powers here.
I'm on it.
There we go. Cheers. So that took us to halftime, and Newcastle being 1-0 up, much deserved, as we said, and probably should have been more than 1-0 up, really, with the amount of chances and the amount of corners, especially they had. I left out one bit. Botman, who had been playing well, he prevents Solanke from getting in on the score sheet right before on the 51st minute, so right after the goal, and that's important because we have a habit this season of throwing our lead away right after we score. And so I thought that was important to note that. Right, let's get into the second half. Willock's still chatting to the ref. You wouldn't have seen this. He's still chatting to the ref in the tunnel as they come out for the second half. So he's obviously seen it, how much he was offside by, and he is kind of having a laugh with the referee about it, and pointing out that it was his eyebrow that was offside. Newcastle go in search of that second with multiple early chances as well. Small penalty shout for Elanga. VAR said nothing. Another penalty shout as Willock goes down. VAR said nothing again. Spurs then with a rare chance with Archie Gray with the cutback for Tell, who put it sky high. First save of the night then for Popey from Sarr. 63 minutes then a Spurs corner and Archie Gray with the finish. Cut back across the box. I think by was it Sarr? I think it was Sarr. They cut it back. Barnes was kind of on him, but Pope was kind of being blocked off a bit, but not too much either. By Van der Ven. But either way, it was 1-1. Undeserved goal for Spurs, and Newcastle punished for not taking their early chances. But thoughts, Pete, on the Spurs goal?
I was furious with this. It infuriated me. Ultimately, for me, it infuriated me because I didn't think Spurs deserved it at all. I thought Spurs were rubbish, absolutely rubbish, and they didn't deserve to score in that game. They really didn't. But I think it's a mistake on our part. And I have to say, he had other than this, he had a good game. And was much better after this moment. But Nick Pope needs to come and collect that. He was too weak. He was too hesitant in the box at that time. He could have come and collected it. The distances weren't great for him to not be able to come and get a fist on it or something to take it off the head. Is it Van de Ven that heads it back into play for Archie Gray? Someone heads it back across, and then
I think it's Sarr.
Okay,
number 29, anyway.
So I think you might be right actually. The whoever heads it back in, and it probably is Sarr. That could have been prevented if Pope comes and collects, and he does, because he almost takes 2 steps out and then quickly reverts back to goal. And if he'd have gone with it, and he'd have got something on it, because it wasn't that far away at all. But yeah, you look around, and Gray that many yards from goal, should be marked. It should be marked closer and better. So from our perspective, it could have and should have been better. But I was annoyed because they really didn't deserve it. They hadn't crafted anything of any sort of quality up until that point, and even after that point, they didn't. So I was annoyed about that, because obviously we were winning, and we were the ones looking like we were going to push for the second at that point. Mm-hmm. And we just, I said to Chris, and we're having a chat about it, just in that 5 minutes or so before they got the equaliser, it just looks like there was a little bit of a lull in the game from Newcastle. Like, it's almost like the energy levels just dipped slightly. We weren't pressing or pushing as hard as we were in the earlier part of the game. We were just kind of like just being a little bit more standoffish, which allowed Tottenham to come in a little bit further forward. They were still poor with their quality in their final ball, but ultimately to concede that was really, really annoying. So naturally, when that goes in, I kind of looked at Chris and was like, flipping hell, not again. Because all of a sudden, there's noise from the home end. There was nothing. It was silent. No singing, no nothing, no backing the team. There was hardly anything from Spurs whatsoever. But all of a sudden, there's a little bit of noise there, and it gives them a little bit of hope. And you're thinking, oh, please don't do this, because we were literally in control of the game. Let's not let this slip. But thankfully, I think you're going to tell us some good news. But what were your thoughts, though? What were your thoughts about that?
I thought, here we go again, and the sucker punch here now. I could hear you singing, though, Pete. I could hear you singing when the Spurs go marching in. So it was a good rendition as he blended in there. Deja vu really is what I was thinking. And if I'm back, actually, I do write this down again. Coming up later, I'll use that word again, deja vu, later in the game, in the match report. But right, let's move on. 65 minutes. Van der Ven block on a strike from Barnes. 67 minutes. Gordon makes some space. This is the goal. This is the big one. 67 minutes. Gordon makes some space. Lovely football from Gordon, actually. From Tony Gord. He does well, the boy, and he finds his way to Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey then gets his first ever goal for Newcastle as he puts it in the bottom corner. Ramsey actually started the move as well. He was kind of part of the build-up in getting that goal. So, but that took us to 1-2. But cue the celebrations from Ramsey, and he is giving Bruno a run for his money. The amount of poses he's doing, and it's beautiful to watch. He's all over the shop, and I love it. So well done, Jacob Ramsey, who was the star of the night, really. But Pete, tell us about this boy Ramsey and his goal.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. First of all, what I loved from Newcastle United is as soon as we went for 1-1, and me and you both just said, "Oh, come on, not again." And it felt like that in the reaction, and it went a bit like, oh, like it all that quieting down a little bit, and everyone's, I think, a little bit panicky, and rightly so, because I've had no reason to think it's going to be any different. Newcastle United spun it up again, and bang, they go again, and they raised their levels straight after, so they didn't let it affect them. They were up again, and I remember looking just before the kickoff. Bruno turns around to the rest of the players, and he's doing this, and he's going, "Come on, let's go," and we did, and we absolutely did, and we just kicked straight back into gear like we'd been in the first half. That's what I loved about watching Newcastle in that second half, is the reaction to a disappointment of conceding a goal. They didn't let it affect them, and they kicked straight back into gear. And Daz, you're absolutely right in just how you've explained it there. Gordon, absolutely superb. It's a brilliant assist from Anthony Gordon. Yeah. Really, really good, and well deserved as well. And we'll come back to him a little bit later on, I'm sure. But lovely turn, leaves Conor Gallagher for dead. And I've got to be honest, Daz, I don't know about you, I don't know about anyone else in the chat, but at times I forgot he was playing. And they've just spent a huge chunk of money on him, but I forgot he was playing. And Gordon leaves him for dead, and he jinks into the box. A lot more of that we need to see from Anthony Gordon. That ability to go, you know what, I'm going to run at them, I'm going to cause them problems. And he drove into the box, and it's that little flick with the right foot into the path of Jacob Ramsey, and it's a lovely finish. It really, really is a lovely finish. First time finish, left foot, bends it into the far corner, and yeah, it erupts. And that was the time that I got up. I was up out my seat, and I gave a little side fist bump, and gave one of these, and then I remembered where I was. You remember the old Southampton manager? And you see like the gif where he goes and celebrates, and he runs up, and he goes like that, calm down.
Oh yeah, Hassan. That guy. Yeah. Oh, I can't remember his name.
So I was a little bit like that, because by this point, Daz, there were seats around us empty. Nobody came back at the half time. Deadly serious. There was like 3 seats after me and Chris. There was like there was 2 rows in front of us empty. Most of them didn't come back. Some were empty to begin with. Some of them didn't come back. So I was there. I got up, a little bit of fist bump. Me and Chris both got up, looked at each other, calmed it down a little bit. We then just we just watched the celebrations, and I have to say, initially, like, because it was so quick, I thought from where we were that it was Elanga that had swooped it home, because he ran off. He sprinted right to the corner. He was first to the corner, so I thought, oh, it's Elanga. Yeah. And then you see Jacob Murphy, and his knee slide, and he's up, and everyone's around, and you think, oh, Jacob Murphy's bagged, and we're buzzing for him, me and Chris will talk about it as well when he comes on. We're buzzing for him. Obviously, first goal for the club. You know how much I've talked about Jacob Ramsey. Like, I've liked what I've seen from him. He hasn't had the game time that I think he probably could have and should have had when other players haven't been performing. But I just hope now this is the opportunity for him to have a run of games, because you can see what it means. You can see what it means. You just put the clips up, Daz, the pictures of what it means to him to score this goal for Newcastle United, the first goal for this club. And it meant the world to him, and it was a proper celebration. And I think Bruno Guimaraes has got a job on his hands to beat that amount of celebrations the next time he scores a goal. But yeah, I love the togetherness of the lads, because you saw Elanga running off, and he was going mad, and they all ran to him. Gordon was arms out, going mad. You had Barnes arms out. And they were all absolutely buzzing for him, and they all made a beeline to go and celebrate with him. And I love that. I love that, because I think it meant a lot to him, but I think it meant a lot to the team that they had the mental strength to come back from conceding a poor goal and go again. And at that point, I'm like, for me, I didn't see a way back for Spurs. I just didn't, because at that point, there was so many pockets around the stadium that left and didn't come back. They knew it was over. I felt it was over, but I think they knew at that point it was over. Boos rang round, the cheers from the away end. I'm surprised anyone was still in their seat by the time their celebration ended, because you could see people from the away end that was like literally looked like they were falling. The away ends are the best. They just are the best. Anyone in this chat that's been away, you'll know they are the best, because the injuries, the scars, the cuts that you get from celebrating. You start in row Z, you end up in row B, because you're just all over the shop. Like it would look like carnage in there in a good way. It looked great.
Just to clarify, anyone listening or looking at this particular bit, the boys were undercover in hospitality. They weren't in the away end. But look, you can even see the posts from Gordon and from Willock. Like everyone is absolutely delighted for Ramsey, and there was a bit of an interview when he was getting his Man of the Match award last night as well, where he kind of points back to like when he got injured in the game against Leeds, and then like it was 2 months before he got back out again, and then a bit part. So he's only now kind of getting it together, and he has done well over the last number of games. We have kind of pointed out that he has looked an awful lot better, and he's control of the ball as well. His composure, I suppose, under pressure. The only in a way, he's comparable to Bruno in that sense. Bruno is another level, of course, but just his composure on the ball. But now he's like in this game, he's had a few attempts are unlucky with kind of shots, and in previous games he's gone close, but he's off the mark now. So hopefully he can fire a few more. And as you mentioned, Peter, I should have pointed it out a bit more. It's only 4 minutes after the Spurs goal, so the turnaround from that, again, it shows the determination of the togetherness of the team. But 74 minutes, some subs then. Elanga off, Murphy on, Ramsey off, Tonali on. 80 minutes, Gordon does well to win the ball. When he was it was kind of punted forward. He took it off, got away from the defender, didn't he? And he's a 1-on-1 in a race with Vicario, but the Spurs keeper was out, so that would have just been icing on the cake, really. But Newcastle then playing very deep for the last 10 minutes or so. 87 minutes, Willock off, Nick Voltemada on. But Big Nick goes into kind of midfield role more so than anything else. Gordon off, Asula on. So Asula's on to do a bit of running. 90 minutes, Bruno off, Hall on. Yeah, Bruno, this would look like an injury, and that picture does not look good there. But I'm not sure if there's any update on that today, but I haven't seen that. But
there is a bit of an update. Did I have it? I think I have. So it's just loading up. Just bear with me a second. So Lee Ryder reports from the Chronicle that Bruno Guimaraes' camp is confident that the star has not suffered a long-term injury. Assessments are taking place ahead of the Villa clash. So it doesn't seem like it's a serious injury. Thank God. Fingers crossed it's not. Yeah. I have to be honest. I mean, maybe we'll come back to this at the end of the game with regards to Bruno, but that was just a quick update with regards to Bruno Guimaraes. As I just said, Lee Ryder's reporting that Bruno's camp, so this is not the club, this is his camp, are saying that he's not suffered a long-term injury. So fingers crossed. I will come back to that at the end of the game and just address Bruno just a little bit more, but fingers crossed, people, that he is okay.
Cool. Right now, 93 minutes. Spurs and Solanke with the bicycle. This is where I mentioned deja vu, because we all remember where we were 2-1 up, and Spurs got the Romero got the bicycle and to make it 2-2. So I was like, oh Jesus, if that happened now. But it came to nothing. Newcastle then trying to manage out the game, going into the corner. Anyway, full time. 1-2 Newcastle with an away victory and 3 points. Boos from the Spurs fans for their team and manager after the game, but there's no boos from these boys. Hey! So a happy night at the Tottenham Stadium.
Just to be clear on that photo, I had to just kneel down a little bit so we were the same height. Yeah, come on, like 6 foot club and all that. We just had to crouch down a little bit just to get in the photo, get in the frame. You know how it is. You know.
Are you sure Chris isn't in the row in front of you there, Pete? Now, I don't know. We're going to ask Chris to clarify. But right when. That was that. Then, of course, there was a bit of punching going on, and I'll show the picture first. But some punching from Eddie Howe to the away end, and some players as well. So some great photos there. But you might have some footage first, Pete.
I do. Fortunate enough to hit it quite well. Let's take a look here.
So when I saw that just before the show started, Pete showed that. First thing I said was, you don't see that from the clip that I saw of Eddie Howe punching the air and to the Newcastle fans, but he's reluctant to do that, and he's being pushed forward to go and do that, and that's Eddie Howe, isn't it? Really, in a nutshell. But yeah,
absolutely. You're absolutely right. There was an absolute reluctance. He was just talking to Trippier and a couple of other players, and it was clear that both Trippier and Bruno had organised it because they were kind of like talking beforehand. So they must have been planning on doing it. And yeah, he got pushed into it, and he's trying to resist Trippier. Bruno then comes in and goes, "No, you need to do this," and he gives it a fist bump. And you know what? I have to say, it's exactly what the fans needed. It's exactly what the players needed, and it's exactly what the manager needed at that point. In that moment right there is complete unity. Complete unity. The fans were absolutely sensational for the whole of that 96, 97 minutes, however long that game was. The away fans were absolutely superb, and they continuously and constantly sang Eddie Howe's name throughout the game. Eddie Howe, Jason Tyndall, constantly backing the boys all the way through. They were absolutely superb in the away end. And that moment there was for them. It was for the manager. The manager been under a lot of pressure. Some of it justified, some of it not. He will know. He's already said there's things that he hasn't done well, but he got everything right last night. And where we criticize, and we've said things haven't been good in certain areas, we can also turn around and say, and this is what we do on this channel, we turn around and say, you know what, fair play, you got everything right, from the selections and the question marks that we have talked about with Burn and Gordon up front, etc., from the tactics and the substitutions in game. I wasn't particularly happy that Ramsey came off. I wanted him to stay on because he was playing well. He'd not long scored, but it was the right subs at the right time, changed, made, and we got the all-important 3 points. And nobody's getting ahead of themselves, far from it, but in that moment it showed complete and utter unity between players, fans and manager. Everyone was connected, and that was a really, really important moment. It was captured perfectly by the club, all the social media that's been captured by that. I was lucky enough to capture it, which is what we've just watched there. And we're all still united, and we're all still fighting together. And yes, it's not good right now. It isn't good. It might not be good in games to come. There might be drops off here and there, but we're still united, and we're still working together. And let's just hope that there's an upturn in form at some point in the near future. That's what we need to hope for. But this will definitely help us along the way. This was a big 3 points tonight and a big game in a big moment of this season for sure.
No, you're right, Pete. I might get you to flick back the tab again when you get a chance. But it was a big statement when and okay, you can look at it. I'm looking at it as Newcastle turned up and they got their away win. They got their 3 points. It showed enough togetherness with the team, and it was good for Eddie Howe as well. It gives him a bit of confidence as well. It might sound stupid saying that, but he kind of needed that as well. But on the other hand, Spurs were awful as well, and they were really bad. But maybe we can build on that now again, and I know we've got some tricky away games coming, so it gives us that bit of hope, I guess, going into those games. So totally different setup, our opposition, but it gives us something to build on. But anyway, that took us. I've already said it was full time, but let's have a look at the team photo. So I was like, look at this. We lean in and have a look who's in there. So everyone's in there.
Bruno. First one I wanted to look for is Bruno. Bruno's just behind Malick Thiaw and Sven Botman. He's in between them. There's a bobblehead somewhere in there. Where's
James? Once is front and center.
Love it. He's got his fist pumps and everything. He's fist pumping. I love it. I love how involved he is as well. I love how involved he is. He's not just like a data guy checking on the fitness levels and all the rest of it. He seems like he's heavily involved in the team, which is good. Love it. Superb.
Yeah, nice for Willock now to get a goal now pretty soon because he does deserve it. Fair play. I know we're going to have some questions and stuff as well, but another thing that we must mention as well, because that was the end of Thomas Frank at Spurs. So they parted ways today. So Spurs are on the lookout for a new manager, and plenty of talk of who may be in the frame, like De Zerbi, Higuita, a guy they brought, John Higuita, who they brought in recently as a coach. I think Poch is in there, Robbie Keane, and there's loads of options that they're looking at. There, even Harry Redknapp said he'd come out of retirement. And Crouchy is looking forward to getting the gang back together, and Nico Conchar and everyone.
Just to interrupt slightly, there are a few super chats that will come to them in just a second. However, just on this topic, it's quite fitting for this topic on the new manager. Jay asked the question: have you spoke to Dej? Spurs yet? And I have actually, and I've spoke to Tobes as well, Toby from Big Six, and they just wanted to say on behalf of us at Loaded and everyone at Newcastle United, thank you. They wanted to say thank you because they have been asking for this for a long time, and they're just glad that we were the ones to put the final sort of nail in the coffin. So I'm expecting the next time I see Dej, probably next Monday, there will be lots of thank yous off the back of that. So make sure you tune in for that and come and tune in for us, because yes, we will be very happy with our 3 points and we'll be on our way.
And do you know why? Do you know why they're saying that, Pete? Because their next game is against Arsenal. They're at home against Arsenal, so they didn't want that the Arsenal game be the one that would finish Thomas Frank. But imagine, I was talking to an Arsenal fan today. Shout out to Deck. He says, "Imagine if Arsenal won the league and Spurs are relegated." That's his Carlsberg moment, I think. So interesting. Interesting times. Yeah. But let's see. I expect now Spurs to kick on when they bring in someone else, or just a change. They'll have that new manager bounce and they'll kick on, I'd say. Yeah. Maybe we will go to the super chats and the chatters, Pete. Maybe that's where we'll go next.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So thank you to all the super chats that have come in. Anyone wants to put a super chat in, we'll prioritize that from now on, and we'll get that straight on to the screen. Rich Joblin, legend, thank you very much for supporting the channel as ever. Thank you for putting in a super chat. How's NUFC function better with a quick forward clearly? Do we go again in the summer for a striker? Is one of the questions. You wonder if our current strikers were Howe's choice. Interesting question there. I'm not so sure now. Was it desperation? So 3 questions in one, Daz, from Rich. Three very valid and good questions there. So what are your thoughts, mate, with regards to Rich's questions?
I agree 100%, because first thing, how's Newcastle function better with a quick forward clearly? That's the reason in our big match preview for the Brentford game, I was putting Gordon up front. I know you boys were saying Wissa. I know that like he's being given a chance against his old club and stuff, but they function better with the fast forward. And Wissa, it does not look fast, and we definitely know that speed is not Nick Valdermada's key strength. So yeah, I definitely agree with that one. Do we go again in the summer for a striker? If we don't, what are we doing? Well, we have to. There's no world in which we don't go after a striker, a fast, pacey striker that ticks those kind of boxes in the summer. Because the only other option there is we're converting Gordon to a striker full time, because we need someone that can run and put the press on, because that's kind of how our team plays. It's a style where it's always the press from the front, and we're not getting that with Wissa or Nick Valdermada when they're playing in that kind of number 9 slot. You wonder if our current strikers were Howe's choice. Yeah, I think Wissa definitely was, because he saw him as the replacement for Wilson when we knew Wilson was going. But yeah, it did kind of come down to desperation. It sounds bad, desperation stakes, but we had limited options, because we are 4 or 5 options ahead of Nick Valdermada were gone or turned us down and so on. But that's not to say that Nick Valdermada isn't a good player. He is, but we know we're not playing to his strengths, and we either adjust our system to get him into that in kind of a number 10 role in a 4-2-3-1 system, or we sell him. Simple as that. Because his value, if we keep doing what we're doing with him, his value is going to go down, and Bayern will then snap him up for a lot less than we paid for him. But yeah, that's kind of pretty much it. It does look that way, Rich, at the moment.
No, great points. Great points. It's a really good question, because for me it is a big statement playing Anthony Gordon, who is ultimately a winger. Left winger, inside forward, whatever we want to call him, but he wasn't signed to be a striker. But to play him in these last 2 games when he's been fit up front as the mainline striker, the number 9, it's a really big statement to the other strikers there, and it's ultimately showing us the way Eddie Howe wants to play. I think that's ultimately what it's showing us, is that he wants to play in a certain way. And I have to say, look, Anthony Gordon didn't score. He got an assist, a very good assist. Anthony Gordon played that role really well. I thought he was good. I thought he was really good against Spurs. I thought the fact that he roams, as if it was Nick Valdermada or Yoane Wissa, they would stay as the last man, constantly there. And I think it's that those strikers can be easily marked. The fact that at times Gordon's picking up the ball from midfield and is drifting wide left or wide right, it throws the defenders off. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know who to mark, where to be. And then you've got Willock making runs beyond him, Ramsey making runs beyond him, Elanga cutting through the middle. And it's just throwing all these defenders off, and they found it difficult to deal with. And so Gordon allows us to play in a much more fluid way. But ultimately, will Newcastle go again in the summer? I said it to you boys the other week. Like, I feel that we have to. I feel that we have to, because we can't go into another season, in my opinion, with Gordon being this genuine option as a striker. Yeah. He needs to be playing where he was bought, to play on the left-hand side of the front three. We have to make a decision on Nick Voltemada and Yoane Wissa. In my opinion, I think one of them may have to leave. I don't know which one of them will leave, but I think one of them may have to leave, because I think we can't then go out and get a first choice striker with moving on Asula, which is very possible, by the way. You're going to be getting, with Asula, you're going to be bringing in a striker that's got potential. So you're bringing in a young striker that's going to potentially be the guy. Whereas I think if we want to be a better team next season, two things are either going to have to happen. And I'm kind of putting my eggs in a basket of who I think might well need to move on. I think Yoane Wissa is either going to have to come back from pre-season and be red hot, a completely different player to what we've seen for Newcastle United, or I think he may need to be moved on for a striker to come in. That's where I'm putting my eggs right now. Could change between now and the end of the season, but that's where I'm seeing it. So I do think another striker, another first choice striker, needs to come in. That's aside from Will Asula. That's where I'm at. Are the current strikers Howe's choice? Well, Asula was, because he. I mean, ultimately they all are, because he signed them off. But with Wissa and Nick Voltemada, we know, and as you talked about it, it was different in the summer. I do feel like now, I do feel that Yoane Wissa was always his target, but I do feel that Nick Voltemada was a flip of a coin between Nick Voltemada and Nick Voltemada and Strand Larsen. And I think he's gone with Nick Voltemada because Nick Voltemada's got higher ceiling, higher potential. He's not quite the style that we play, but he's got a higher potential than Jurgen Strand Larsen. I think he's looked at it and gone, okay, we can possibly get more, because, you know, if all these reports are to be believed, I thought the second bid was at 55 million, but there's other reports saying we offered as high as 65 million. I'm not quite sure about that. But if we did, and he's probably weighed it up and gone, do I spend 65 million on Jurgen Strand Larsen, or do I spend it on Nick Voltemada, whose ceiling is potentially a lot higher? And I think that's where he's gone with that. And he's looked at it as a little bit of a project of how we can build him and make him a Newcastle United player. But I do think that that was very much a not panic buy. I don't want to say a panic buy, but it was more of a rush decision. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether all three of these strikers will be at Newcastle United at the beginning of next season. I very much doubt it.
Another option could be to loan one of them out, like a good, decent loan fee, or maybe even a loan to buy in case of Wissa, let's say. Just because if we're selling Wissa, at this moment in time, we're selling them at a loss. And we take a PSR hit, which we won't want to do. So, like, I think he'd be a good loan option for someone. Unless you are bringing in a striker. Sorry?
Unless you sell him to Saudi, Daz.
Oh, yeah. Then.
The week, I do think someone of Yoane Wissa's age and profile, I think his next move could and probably should be to Saudi. And if you go into Saudi, and look, Ben Jacobs brought it out the other week. Whether people follow him or not, believe him or not, is besides the point. But he has good links with the Middle East, and he did say that obviously we talked about it on channel previously with a lot of those major signings that the Saudi Pro League signed coming to the end of their contracts this summer. There's going to be an outgoing of a lot of players from the Saudi Pro League, and there's going to be a massive incoming, and they're going to invest significant amounts of money. That's where you're going to be able to cash in someone like a Yoane Wissa, who's got profile. he has got profile, regardless of what we think that he's done at Newcastle. He has gone and scored 18, 19 goals at Brentford the season previous. That will still hold weight if we were to move him on, say for example. And with that, he's going to massively, significantly go up in wages, and he'll be able to at that stage in his career still get an additional payday on whatever he's earning at Newcastle. So for me, I think he's played Champions League football with us. You know, he's scored goals wearing the number 9 for us. Not as many as we would have liked, but he's done those things. Can we move it on? And this is the bold thing about Newcastle United. Like, this is it. Like, yeah, I keep going back to Villa, and I don't want to keep going back to Villa, but they are a good example of things. I use the example of Ivan Gesson. Didn't work. Moved him on. Chopped him over to Palace, and they'll get potential fee for him in the summer, and they'll get probably the chunk of their money back, if not all of it. Happy days. Are we bold enough to do the same? Are we bold enough to admit, okay, this hasn't worked out? We need to make a change here. We need to significantly invest in a striker that actually fits our style, or who is going to implement our style perfectly, and just make a change. Claire G put in the chat, you know, I want to give Nick Voldemort a chance, and I'd love Nick Voldemort to succeed. Right. If there's any Newcastle fan that wouldn't want him to succeed, but it's about style clashes. Can that style work in this team? Can we find a way of him playing? Can we change the whole formation style of our setup? But to incorporate him, there's question marks in all of that, and I'm still on the fence on that, because I don't know if it's possible. But I'm willing to give him a chance.
I see someone has joined us in the chat. He's not in Tesco as everyone thought he might be. He is with us, and I have one last thing to say on this topic, but I'll bring this man on first. Welcome, Chris.
Yes.
Get in.
Yes, boys. Thank you very much. Thank you. My wife's just bought me a coffee. I probably shouldn't be having coffee at this time, but I'm shattered.
I'm surprised she's still talking to you after you come in and you jumping on the show straight away. That is not on.
She's not. Yeah, she's not impressed, but she understands. She understands, because it's not very often that we go away from home these days and get 3 points, is it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's not. The last thing I'm going to say on this topic is that I think that front three is our best option now going forward, with Barnes on the left, where we know he's good, and that's his best position, and he'll get us some goals there. Elanga is coming into a bit of form. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Elanga recently, and Gordon will do the press, and as Pete says, he'll also drop in kind of midfield and come back out again and give a few questions to the defenders. Still not a striker for me, but he can make something happen for everyone else, and maybe put the defender under pressure and get a goal that way. So, but for me, that's our front three, and good luck to Wissa and Nick Voldemort to try and break their way in.
Absolutely. Mm.
Yeah.
Just reading this now. How's NUFC function better with a quick forward? Clearly, do we go again this summer for striker? You wonder if our strikers are Howe's choice. I'm not so sure. No, is it? I think that's a fair point from Rich, isn't it? It's a fair point. I think we were backed into a corner, and again, it goes back to a conversation that we had recently, wasn't it? Where we were saying that, you know, the whole Alexander Isak saga. And this was the frustration from my point of view, because, you know, we sold him with hours to go left in the window. Now, if a decision had been made, we remember hearing that the PIF had gone to his house to try and persuade him. Maybe that was a little bit too late. I don't know. But I would have liked to have seen, and I think, boys, we need to exercise this in the summer. We're hearing about Tino Livramento. We're hearing about Sandro Tonali. We're hearing about Anthony Gordon. This should be thrashed out in close season. So June at the very latest, should be having conversations and going, right, what's happening? What are we doing? Because what we don't want is to put ourselves in a similar situation next summer, where we're having the same conversations, the same panic, the same frenzy. You would hope now that the director of football and the CEO in place that won't happen, and hopefully that'll be the case. But I suppose to be confirmed.
To be continued. Right, well, let's move on. Rich, you got value for money there. It's been half an hour talking about that question, but it was a very good question.
Absolutely. Chegmeister with a £2 super chat. Thank you. Are we getting Europe, lads? We need to go on a run. Big question. What we thinking, boys? What we thinking?
Go on, Chris.
I mean, I said to Pete last night, and he may recall this, the results fell our way. And all of a sudden you're going, it's only 8 points now. It's only 8 points away from top 5. But yeah, I mean, let's be honest. It's still looking pretty bleak. It would be a minor miracle. But boys, we've done it before. It's happened before. And this Premier League season, I think one thing is fair to say, I don't think anything can be written off in terms of, oh, that's not possible or that's not going to happen. Because let's be honest, this has been, it reminds me of, was it 2015 when Leicester won the Premier League? It feels like an odd season is what I'm saying. Interestingly, that if maybe Sunderland get something against Liverpool, if Arsenal drop points, maybe not Arsenal actually, because Arsenal are far and away, aren't they? And I think they play tomorrow. But if the teams in the mix drop points again tonight, you then start thinking, well, is there a possibility? But let's be honest, boys, the next Premier League fixture is away to Man City. So we could be coming back down to earth, tumbling back down to earth with a reality check there. Our Callum's celebrating there. I don't know. He was at the match yesterday, so I'm not quite sure, but never mind. But yeah, we will see. We will see. I'm not going to say no, but I would still say it's highly unlikely that we get Europe. A little counter question for you boys, and Daz, I know you're going to answer this as well, but add on to this from Chegmeister. Would you take the Europa Conference at this point?
Yes, because it's a competition that we said that we could win, and same with your Europa League, we could win that as well. Well, why not? And I think even Unai Emery says Europe. He doesn't specify the Champions League. He just wants to be in Europe every year. So why aren't we doing the same? And yeah, the question did say Europe, not Champions League, from Chegmeister. But
Sure.
anything's possible, but we do need to go on a run. But I'm going to do another bit when I pass this over to Pete. Watch this one, hospital pass here, Chris. Pete, do we need to get knocked out of the FA Cup on Saturday to have a chance of getting to Europe?
It's a great question.
What's this hot potato all about? Passing the book. But no. We don't need to get knocked out of the FA Cup. I've got renewed hope now that if we can somehow possibly get past Aston Villa, that we could actually potentially go on a run in the FA Cup. I wouldn't give up the cup. In fact, I would be going all out for it. I would be, if you're asking me, lads, where I'm playing the strongest team, I think we've got Karabag next week away from home. If you're asking me, where I'm playing my strongest team, I'm playing it against Villa. I want to give us a chance to go through because I'm not sure they're going to play their strongest team. They're playing tonight. They've got a number of games coming up. I think they might try and move some of their squad around for the FA Cup. For me, no, I'm all in FA Cup. Let's try and go and upset Aston Villa and try and get something from it. For me, Brentford and Everton, they've shown the blueprint of how to win there. Sit back deep, make it hard for them, play in a low block. Villa don't like low blocks. They can't play low blocks. They like teams to be expansive. They like teams to go out. If Eddie Howe sets up a team on Saturday to go out and press high and find and potentially leave gaps in and behind, Villa will exploit us and they'll score and they'll win. If we sit in, make it difficult, and have the likes of Gordon, Elanga, Barnes, Willock on the counter, I think we can nick something. I genuinely do. I think that's the type of team we need to set up. Hard to beat, defensively solid, hit on the break. That's, for me, that's what we need to do. That's the type of game. And I'd be going 3 at the back. I'd be going Hall, left back, left wing back. Trippier maybe right wing back or whoever. Then I'd be looking at I'd be looking at playing those front guys that have got pace and drive to kick on and cause problems on the break. That's the way I think we win the game. So I would be going all out, and I'd be playing a lesser team in Karabag, because for me, I'm confident we will wipe the floor with them at St. James's Park. Whatever the score is at Karabag, for me, I think we wipe the floor with them at St. James's Park, in my opinion.
I agree with you on going 5 at the backs / 3 centre backs against Villa, and having Hall as left back, and that means automatically that Dan Byrne is the first name on the team sheet as well. But yeah, it makes it interesting. It kind of gives you a bit of renewed hope, kind of what we said at the start as well. That result kind of, maybe the momentum can take us forward, and we're away from home again. But you never know.
I'll just answer Craig Lee, because he just put in a comment. He put why 3 at the back? Played it 7 times this season, lost 4, drew 3. Why would it work now? There are different variations of a back 3. For me, the back 3 that we played against Man City was all wrong. It was an expansive back 3 with an expansive midfield and forward line that was pressing high. It left too many gaps. If you play a low block where you're sitting in deep and not letting any team get any joy, it doesn't sound attractive, because it's not. It's not pretty football. It probably is reminiscent of what we played under the likes of Rafa Benitez and Steve Bruce. But needs must. Sometimes you've got to go, you've got to dig deep, you've got to go back to basics, back to your original state to sometimes win matches. And Eddie Howe's almost alluded to it. We kind of did something similar yesterday. At times, we went back to the drawing board in the way we played at times, and it worked. For me, there are different styles of a back 3. Just because it looks the same in terms of personnel doesn't mean it's played in the same way. We've played a back 3 in very, very different manners this season, and a lot of them have been expansive back 3s, which for me haven't worked. Against Arsenal last season, first and second leg of the Carabao Cup, it worked because we had different personnel that made the difference. I think a complete low block with, and I'm talking shithouse here. I'm not talking pretty football. I'm talking absolutely Eddie Howe shithouse man. Sitting deep, making it boring, making it frustrating for the Villa fans and for the players, and then nicking a goal the other end. That's what I'm looking for. That's the only way that I think we get out of Villa Park with anything. If we go expansive, we lose, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. Be the tactic I'd go with as well. If we're at home, I'd try something different. But with us being away, this is the way I go.
100%. So that's the super chat's done. But there are lots of other comments that have come in.
Cool.
So we'll go with Andrew Ford. Great to see you, Andrew. Chuck with the 3 points, but my God, how bad were Spurs? Definitely the worst team we've played this season, including Union Saint-Gouin. Gave us so much space, never pressed us, never ran behind. Relegation fodder. May not be now with a potential new manager, but Chris, I'll come to you just because we discussed this a lot during the game about how bad they were. Just how bad were we saying that they were whilst watching the game?
Oh, like, you know, I obviously I watch 12th Man a lot, which Peter's on. Dan Potts, shout out to him. Fantastic channel, fantastic show. A Race for Europe on a Monday night. If you don't watch it, make sure you do. It's really good watch. And I've heard all season, Spurs are terrible, Spurs are awful. Now, obviously, I've watched the odd Spurs game, and you know, I've seen little bits on Match of the Day and stuff. But my, when I sat there and watched that 95 minutes or whatever it was, they are dreadful. They really are dreadful. And you know, people say my blue mate today was saying, "Oh, look at all the injuries they've got. They've got loads of players missing." And granted, you know, that is the case, and I'm sure that plays a huge part. But We're still talking about 65 million Dominic Solanke up front. We're still talking about 30 million Odegaard. We're still talking about 30 million Matthias Tell. They've got 30 million Conor Gallagher. They've got plenty of quality in that team, but take that aside for the moment. It was just give the ball to Xavi Simons and hopefully he can do something. That is literally all they were doing, and the midfield were non-existent. I mean, let's not beat about on the bush, boys. They came up against an out of form Newcastle United side, and we made them look really average, like really average. Not at any point even when they scored, I was quite surprised. We both were, weren't we, Pete? Against someone to play. Yeah. Weren't expecting it, and you thought, oh God, it's going to be another one of those days. But then we got back in front, and then it was like normal service resumed. It's fine. They're not going to score. There's no way they're going to score it again. And I think that was their biggest opportunity. Bar, I think in the first half, they blazed over, didn't they? From 5 yards out, was it Basuma? Oh no, Basuma nearly put it in his own goal. Actually, that's what I'm referring to. But yeah, they were just so poor. Vicario looks all over the place. Archie Gray obviously is not a right back. I think that's clear to see. Without Mickey van der Ven, that would have been a cricket score last night, an absolute cricket score. We had so many corners, didn't we? And the ball kept getting lumped in, and it always fell onto Mickey van der Ven's head. If he wasn't there and it was Dragisin with, say, I don't know, Danzo or someone like that, they'd have really struggled last night. Really struggled. Yeah.
You kept mentioning about Dragisin. He was dreadful.
Oh,
he's so
top notch. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
And I think this is why I'm delighted with the 3 points. I was delighted to be there, and it was great to be on the road and get those 3 points and come back. But I am still keeping myself very grounded, because that was a really, really poor Spurs side. And like I said earlier, boys, we're out of form. We had Jacob Ramsey and Joe Willock, who looked like world beaters yesterday. They both had a great game, great performance, no doubt. But the level of opposition they come up against, they won't have much easier nights than that. So I'm trying to keep myself very, calm and considered. I don't think we're going to come up against many teams like Spurs this season, certainly for the rest of the season. So the proof will be in the pudding. I think against Aston Villa, against Karabag, against Man City, future games to come. But that doesn't take away from the performance. It was a great result, made up for Eddie. He really needed it. And a few lads, hopefully that'll give them a little bit of confidence going forward. I mean, there was a few shaky moments, wasn't there? None more so than when we saw the lineup. I think, Pete, you were driving at the time. Me and Daz were messaging in the chat, and it was like, Dan Bair's playing left back. We're like, oh my God, no, surely not. Not again. And obviously Tonali was out. So yeah, a few heaven and scared moments. And by the way, if Eddie and the lads are watching, I think we're asking for trouble with Kieran Trippier as the last man back when we're attacking. I think that when we've got a set piece like a corner or a free kick, and the last man is Kieran Trippier, someone needs to sort that out, because we are going to get punished with that one day soon if that's the case. I'm all for going back to basics. 2 years ago that might have been all right. Nowadays, maybe swap someone around.
It wouldn't work on Saturday against Villa.
No,
because they'd have Ollie Watkins there and he'd destroy Trippier. So it wouldn't work, and I think we would have to change tact. I think it would end up being like a Willock or someone like that with a little bit of pace to be able to keep toe with him. And Willock's decent at recovering the ball, to be fair. So I'd be going with that. But like you said, we highlighted it very, very early on in the first half. It was a problem, and it might not be seen on TV because you're focusing on going on in the box. But it was a massive concern that he was the last man because of obvious reasons. But he handled it well.
He did.
He recovered the ball a few times. He did well. But as you said, it may not be or go in the same way.
And he's 30, 40 yards away from anybody else, by the way. So not only is he last man, there's no even backup support. It's literally Kieran Trippier and nobody else. Nobody else. And that was the concern for me.
Just on Spurs, and back to the question from Andrew again. Spurs look better with Ange than they do with Frank. Now I know that multiple injuries, as the TNT pointed out, but just because I was at that Spurs game last season and at St James's Park, and they should have won that. If they had a striker that day, they would have won. But yeah, they've regressed, and it's very, very important for them who they bring in next now. We did talk a small bit about that, Chris. There'll probably be another comment later on about it as well. Good to get your thoughts on that. But just to
touch just before we move on, Daniel Ego makes a really good point. He goes, we were a bit fortunate that Odegaard got injured. He had Burn on toast. Trips and Burn can't be starting next season, far too slow. It's a good point. Very good point.
Well, it's something else that we spotted as well, because for me, and I think we talked about it during the first half, is that they didn't exploit that enough. We had a dominant period of possession where we had lots of corners, lots of press in their box, and then all of a sudden they just put an out ball onto their right or left, and they were in because Odegaard got ahead of Burn, and all of a sudden they were on the counter, and it was like they did that, and then the move broke down, and then they didn't do it again for like.
They didn't do it again, did they?
Yeah, it was like another 15 minutes. I think they did it, but then Botman, I think, cut it out, and then they never did it again because Odegaard got injured and went off. And it was like, if I'm the manager, I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, maybe that's the outboard, and just constantly pumping it over his head and getting Odegaard to run onto it, and they didn't catch on to that at all. And yeah, it was a weird one. But it was a bit of a mismatch. But yeah, we were lucky that he went off because he was probably their only bright spark in the game, other than Xavi Simons. I still believe people obviously are looking at him at Spurs and going, "Oh, he's not great. He's a flop. This, that, and the other." And maybe so at Spurs. I still believe in a different team, Xavi Simons would be a top player. The technique, the quality, the player is there. I don't think the setup's right at Spurs. I don't think it would. I think if he'd have gone to Chelsea, I think he'd have done well. I think he'd be seeing a different player. I do think
at Strasbourg, he'd be doing great at Strasbourg now.
maybe.
One after.
Yeah,
most players go there.
Pete, I'm very sorry I keep doing this, but another fantastic point from Geordie Toon for Life, and this is something we've discussed. We discussed it last night, and we've discussed it on this channel a good few times. Geordie Toon for Life says, "Why don't Newcastle leave two men up top, say Gordon and Elanga, when we're defending a corner? They would have to leave three. They would have to leave three back, and it gives Pope more room for corners." You know what? That again is a frustration. So Eddie, Jason, if you're watching, again, it's another thing, isn't it? Where you sit everybody back for the corner that you're defending, and you're thinking, if we pushed an extra man up, Spurs or whoever the opposition would be would then have to go, hang on, we're going to have to put someone to mark that player. So you're automatically removing a player from your penalty box because they're worried about the likes of Gordon and Elanga. And as soon as that ball gets lumped forward, or if there's a defending header out, you're then on the attack. So yeah, it's a good point, Geordie Toon for Life. And we have spoken about this. And it's like everyone sits deep. So when the outball goes, there's no one there to clean it up. But if you had Gordon, say on the far left, Elanga on the far right, if that ball breaks, you've got two very, very quick players. Even if you sat on just in front of the halfway line. So if that ball goes over the top, you're in. But yeah, good point.
It's a risk and reward type of tactic. It could work. I mean, it could encourage teams to go, okay, we'll flood an extra man into the box, and there's an extra man that's not being marked, or it could go the other way, like you said, and it could push another player out. I personally, I would go with that way. I would have Elanga out wide right, literally on the touchline as an option for the out ball wide, and I'd have Gordon through the middle. And you've got two options there. So you either got to mark both, or you're leaving one and you're exposing yourself that if we clear the ball and it falls to one of our guys, we're out and it's 2-on-1. Yeah. So I wouldn't be against it. But Anthony Elanga absolutely should be on the counter. Anthony Elanga, I thought, was really good. Really good. I thought he played well. He had a really good game against us. I was annoyed he didn't start against Brentford. He should have, but he started last night and I thought he was good. And I think he needs to be the outball because he was the outball for Forest whenever they did their counter attacks and the transitions, it was always him and Chris Wood on the counter, and you'd have like your Morgan Gibbs White that would join the counter attack, and that they would be more often than not the three. So he would be the guy to go for. And Gordon's already proved with his pace he can be a problem on the counter. Now you have to look at Villa Park, first game of the season, early on in the game where Elanga and Gordon combined on the counter, and Elanga should score that goal where it gets saved by Willock. You know, we've actually seen it in play. We've seen it happen. But wonderful. That's the kind of result we want to see. More of the same, please. Because obviously Fulham are in and around us right now, so them losing is only a good thing for us. But Daz, I've got a question for you. Chris, feel free to jump in afterwards. That was COVID Willock yesterday. Talk to us about this man, the man that we were, or most Newcastle fans were saying, yeah, if we can get a good fee, move him on to Palace. Seems to have turned the corner at Newcastle United, Daz.
COVID Willock, I've heard that before. Catching on, I think, that one. I expect to see Joe Willock mention it himself now. But yeah, look, I'm guilty of saying I would have definitely sold him in the January transfer window. But as I said, he's really stepped it up in the last little while. He's lucky that obviously that we talked about the goal that should have stood. His goal is coming though, and he will deserve it. Just hopefully he stays fit. I may be talking about potentially selling him again in the summer, but I think whoever, if someone buys him and gets that Willock, that's value for money, whatever price they pay, because he is quality at the moment. But we need him ourselves from now until the end of the season. Like what I'm seeing from COVID Willock, and I saw someone else put it up there as well that Willock, when he breaks, he brings the ball with him as well. He's and he's like, this is the Willock we saw, COVID Willock, but three years ago when we were the first season when we were qualifying for the Champions League, and then he got injured towards the end. That's the kind of Willock. It's not when he was unknown with this Willock scoring all the goals. It's something in between, but fair play.
Chris, should Joe Willock be given a proper run in the side now? We've said the same. We've asked the same question for Jacob Ramsey. Should Joe Willock also be really considered now for a regular place in this first 11 moving forward?
Yeah, certainly from now till the end of the season. We don't know when Joe Linton's back. That's all very, very cagey. For me now, Pete, and I'm sure it's for you and Daz too, it's about consistency. Joe Willock is found his form. His fitness is where it needs to be. The one thing I would caveat that with, though, is I don't want... I still want us to be ruthless in the summer. So even if Joe Willock has an absolutely fantastic, end to the season, and I hope he does, because that will, be to the benefit of Newcastle and to himself. For me, I'm still thinking in the summer, this is the summer to move Joe Willock on, because going forward, I don't think Joe Willock is the answer. What I don't want to see is, necessarily fans or the club going, oh, give him a new 3-year contract. Oh, he's the answer. He's the one. He's this, he's that. It's like, no, we've been stung in the past with Callum Wilson. We've been stung in the past with Miggy Almiron. There's a time to sell. Now, you could argue the time to sell Joe Willock was in January. That didn't happen. So we've got Joe Willock. Joe Willock is playing very, very well. This isn't a slant on Joe Willock. I'm not digging Joe Willock out here because he played really well yesterday. And he gave everything to the cause, but don't get this mistaken for let's keep it. Oh, he's brilliant. Let's keep him, because I think we all know that, going forward, if we consistently want to challenge that top 5, top 6, Joe Willock probably isn't that guy. So I just hope that, we don't all jump on the bandwagon, me included, and go, oh, let's keep him. He's brilliant. He's in a rich vein of form. He's playing very, very well. I'm backing him 110%, particularly when he's got this black and white shirt on. But I'm not I'm gonna, be keeping myself on an even keel, a level head, because still in the summer, if he comes off the back of having a good rest of the season for Newcastle, and Newcastle do well, and perform where they should be performing and get to where they need to get to, brilliant. And it should be, thanks very much, Joe. There's the door. Best of luck in your career. That's what should be happening. I have to caveat it with that.
For me, it's a value builder.
Yeah.
Get him playing well. But yeah. This is it. We were talking about in January, if Palace or whoever, Fulham came in, I think Fulham, there was rumours of Fulham 20 million bid rejected, etc. Turned out that it wasn't necessarily the case, but yeah, we had Willock valued at anywhere between 20 and 25 million in January. If he can put form together between now and the end of the season, he's 26 years old. Still a pretty good age. Great age, good age. You're looking at that £30 million mark, maybe even a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because he's still at a young enough age that he's still got room to hit his peak and develop at another club. There we go. Hopefully,
Conrad says great age.
Yeah.
I'm happy with great age.
Get more of this in the build up to the summer. So yeah, that for me is the one that we absolutely need to be looking at in a bit more detail. That is for sure.
We all know what column he's going to be in come squad game.
Oh,
you chatters know as well.
Yeah. And it's no disrespect to Joe Willock. And like I say, I want him to perform well. I want him to do well in the Newcastle shirt. And if he does, how nice would it be, boys, for a player to leave the club who's up here and we're going, nice one. Well played. He's done really well for us there. And there's no, we should have sold him for more. Oh, we should have sold him a year ago. I can't believe we've let him. There was a little bit of that for me with Sean Longstaff. Like, I was really pleased, Sean Longstaff went and got his regular football. But the other half of me was thinking, 12 million rising to 15. Bit of a bargain, that. Great deal for Leeds, but bit of a bargain. But with Joe Willock, if we got good money for him, it's like, well, you know what? Fair play. He's done the job for us. He's done what he needed to do. And we've cashed in at the right time for the right price. That's what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let him go out the way he came in.
Yes.
COVID Willock in, COVID Willock out. Let's make it.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen, people. That is for sure. Lee Jones says, question, lads. After last night's results, do you think that we can qualify for Europe and possibly an outside chance of the Champions League? Similar question to before. So quick answers on this before we fly through to the next one, because I know we had a similar question earlier on.
I'm going to go for the last bit first, Lee. No, we're not getting Champions League. Forget about it. If it was to happen, brilliant, but forget about it. Unless we win the Champions League. I don't think you're talking about that, but no, we're not getting Champions League. Europe possibility, but we have to put a run together. Things have to go our way, and we have to continue winning away from home. I'm not talking about away at Man City. I'm talking about the other games that we have coming and winning at home as well.
Chris, really quickly, Europe Champions League. What are you thinking?
I was just checking to see what the odds were on Newcastle to get the Champions League, and then I realised I won't be able to find that out because when the games are in play, they shut the markets. I imagine they're pretty high.
There was a list.
I'll give you odds, Chris. I'll give you odds.
There was a list the other day because it was sent on a chat that I was on, and I didn't save it or acknowledge it because we weren't on it. We weren't on it.
Oh, well, there you go. That says it all.
So because we're in the bottom half of the table, they did the odds on or the percentages of getting Champions League, and they had Everton and Sunderland on it, very low percentage, and not Newcastle because we're in the bottom half, which tells us a lot about where we're at right now. Now, obviously, as we've talked about, we mentioned it earlier on, is that results and things can change very quickly because of how tight the league is. But we weren't on it. So, yeah.
Well, working on the basis, I had a quick look at the league yesterday. And I think, and I could be wrong here, boys. I could be wrong, but I feel like when I looked, I was like, do you know what? 60, 61, 62 maybe. I think that'll be enough for Champions League this season for fifth. And tell me if I'm wrong. What? In fact, I'll just tell you. It's easy.
Chelsea are on 44.
Yeah, we're on 36. So we need roughly 26 points. 26 points out of a possible 36. So that kind of tells you its own story, doesn't it? We'd need 26 points out of 36 to get to that magic 62 number, which I think it'll be about 62 points. We'll get top 5. So for us to get 26 points out of 86 points, that would be some going. And bearing in mind, we've got some pretty tough fixtures to come as well. None more so than Man City away, which is the next one. If we beat Man City away, maybe we'll be having a different conversation. I don't know. But so you're highlighting there, Daz. Should we go Man City away, Everton at home winnable, Man United at home winnable, Sunderland at home winnable, Chelsea away will be very difficult. Palace away will be difficult. Bournemouth at home we should win, even though we don't beat Bournemouth. Arsenal away is going to be difficult. Brighton at home we could and should win. Forest away,
we never do.
It depends on where Forest are in the league. To be honest, that's not a bad end to the season there. So West Ham at home, Fulham away. Oh, I don't know. Am I talking myself into this?
Yeah, but they're always fighting for staying in the Premier League at that stage. Yeah. You know, there's a relegation battle tonight for Forest against 6-pointer against Wolves. So
yeah,
there's who knows?
If there's anything about us in there, 1, 2, 3, 4. If there's anything about us, there's a potential of 12 points in that last 4 games. That's not a bad running. That is not a bad running. That you would want that running. I mean, Forest could well be safe, and literally, you know, at that point, are they in the latter stages of the Europa League? They're safe in the Premier League. Are they going to be on the beach? Potentially, we have got a good record at Forest. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm looking at those last 4 games, and I'm looking at Forest as maybe the team that might cause us a few problems. But if they're on the beach, they're on the beach. They might be prioritizing Europa League and whatever else is coming. For me, Brighton are Brighton. We owe them one at St. James's Park. We absolutely owe them one. The amount of times they get results against is ridiculous. West Ham, we owe them one from earlier on in the season. We need to tuck them away. In fact, could we be putting them down on that day?
Yeah,
there's a potential that we could, and then Fulham
going to stay in Newcastle. Then he can stay there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He can, Lawless can go to the club shop and buy himself a Newcastle top. Remnants of 1995, like we did last time. So yeah, why not? And then Fulham away. We have a good record Fulham away. Last game of the season. We've done it. You know, COVID Willock. He turned up, and then previous to that, Benitez. Is it Benitez's last game managing the club? Torn them apart there. So yeah, not saying we're going to win. It's no guarantee, but there's a chance. You're looking at that, and you're looking at other games as well. I mean, you look at Bournemouth. Arsenal away is Arsenal away. Palace away, up in the air. Sunderland, ooh,
big one.
We owe them one. Well,
there's teams around. The point I'm making at is the teams around us. So you look at okay, Man City is Man City, but you look at Everton at home. They're a team around us. Regardless of what they did to us last season, we have to go and win that game at St. James's Park. We have to win. Any means necessary. Man United, they're coming to us in a bit of form, but again, we are capable of beating them.
St. James's.
To finish them when we're at home.
Sunderland is a derby. It's a must-win after what happened at the stadium. Stadium of Shite. We need to make sure that we go and win at home there. So you're looking at those home games, and you're thinking there's winnable games there, and we are better at home, and there's a chance to put some of these points on the board. So let's see, lads.
And I tell you what, to answer the question fully. So Champions League looking unlikely, but I wouldn't rule it out completely because, as I say, weird season. And I estimated 62 points. That's probably in a normal season as well. And we are very much not in a normal season. It could be that 58 points gets it. You don't know. But all things being well, and if Newcastle perform as they should and as they're capable of, then possibly. But what I will say is, looking at those fixtures and obviously seeing the performance last night, is Europe achievable, i.e. Europa League Conference? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's all on us. It's whether we can do it. It's whether, we can find that form and we can really kick on. It's down to us. We've got the fixtures. It's down to us.
And the potential for 8th place.
Yes. Yes.
So we know with the Carabao Cup that it's going down to minimum 7th. So max, minimum 7th now with it, because obviously Arsenal, Man City in the Carabao Cup final, it could go down to 8th depending on who gets to the FA Cup latter stages. So if say for example it's a Arsenal City final again, or it's a whoever is in that top 4 at that stage and they're likely to get Champions League, that position goes down again. It builds up to that next phase, and it gives an extra place down in the league. So we're sitting 10th at the moment. What's the league saying right now? Just
so really we are at the moment, mate. We are 10th in the league, and we are on 36 points, level with Sunderland, who are in 11th. They're also on 36 points, but the gap. So all the way down to 14th is Brighton and 32, but then you look up. And if we're talking top 7, Pete, we're 3 points off top 7. We're 3 points.
So if it does open up to 8th, and we're only 3 points away from top 7, we've just identified a number of games between now and the end of the season that are winnable, and against teams that are in and around who we're fighting against. So we've got a great opportunity to at least get in that top 8, top 7. And if it does drop down to 8th for Conference League, 7th will get Europa League. And I think most fans after this season so far would probably shake your hand for a Europa League and go, fair enough, because at that point, Europa League is giving you a chance of potential Champions League qualification if you can go on and win it. It's European football. It's still a higher level of European football. And on top of that, I think you are still going to attract a certain level of player to come and play for Newcastle United in the summer, to go and play Europa League with the view of potentially going deep into that competition. So there's lots of wins within that. There's lots of wins with it, even if it's not Champions League.
The only thing to put on a negative slant, well, not negative, but the only thing to be mindful of, which now I look at it, actually, it does make it look very, very difficult, because I look at Villa, Man United and Chelsea. So Villa, Man United and Chelsea are on 48, 45 and 44. Now, if we're making the assumption that 62 points, for example, is going to be enough to secure top 5, they basically need what? Worst case, they basically need 6 wins out of 12. So they need to win half of their games, which feasibly should be a pretty simple ask, shouldn't it? If someone said you've got to win half your games between now and the end of the season and you'll get top 5, you would think that they would be able to do that, wouldn't you? For ourselves, it's probably us winning 8 or 9 out of 12.
Stop
talking about top 5. Stop talking about it.
We're doing a challenge. We're trying to talk it into existence. That's what people are doing. We've only won 1 game, but it was a big game. I'm going to shoot forward because we had another super chat, a big one from Benny Boy. So thank you for your
cheers, Benny Boy.
Benny Boy, absolute legend as always. Comparing this to the Mackhams, they're having the best season ever, but we're having a transitional season with so much having gone wrong for us over the summer whilst playing double the games as them, yet we're level on points. Great point.
So true. Yeah, and like I can take this transitional season, and I kind of half accepted it after the Brentford and West Ham losses in November, but we can't have another season like this, and we have to hit that summer window with the World Cup thrown in the mix as well. we have to hit the ground running and know exactly what we're doing. And as Chris pointed to earlier, we need to know whether certain players are with us or they're not. If they're not, sell them and we rebuild. And we need to know as well who is going to be our manager. Right? If it was to be Eddie gone, we need to be swift in that as well. We can't be messing about, because it'll all eat into our season. As we've seen, the longer we leave things, it messes up the season then. So let's hope it's just this is a transitional season, and then we can focus into next season. And yeah, don't worry, we won't be worrying about Sunderland then at all next season. They'll be well below us.
Chris, your thoughts on Sunderland? Just as I say that, just in the chat, Palace are 2-0 up. Jürgen Larsen scored both for Palace.
Showed on it.
And they're two really good goals as well. So me saying earlier before you came on, Chris, that actually, yeah, Eddie Howe weighed it up and he didn't see Jürgen Larsen as a better option as Nick Moulton, maybe.
We can edit that out. Edit that bit out, Chris. Sorry, yeah.
Who knows? But back onto the super chat, Chris. Go for it, mate.
Yeah. It's funny enough, I was going to make the point. It flashed up and I seen Jürgen Larsen again, and I was like, oh my God, 2 goals. He's going to be the Chris Wood for them, isn't he, this season? They've plucked him from Wolves, and he's secured a big 3 points for them, by the way of things. Yeah, do you know what, Benny boy? And I think it's a good point you make, and it kind of like demonstrates the levels as well, doesn't it? Because we've heard all the media waxing lyrical over Sunderland, and to be fair, rightly so in a way, because they've come up, and they're competing, aren't they? They're competing, and they've made a lot of transfers. They've put in a lot of new players. Some of them really savvy, the likes of Mukiele and Xhaka, 2 very, very good signings, particularly, and Roofs, of course, the goalkeeper. Yeah. So 3 very good signings there. But yeah, there is levels to this game, isn't there? Because this is like the worst run Eddie Howe's ever had since he's been Newcastle United manager, and yet we find ourselves very, very similar in the league. Now, obviously, you would hope next season, particularly if we're maybe looking at Conference League football or maybe looking at Europa League football, we should be able to manage that a lot better. The biggest thing, as Daz mentioned there, was about making sure that we're all set this summer and we sort ourselves out, because we don't want another summer like last summer. We need to make sure that we've got a squad of players who want to be here, who want to perform, and we get the chance to kind of wipe off this season and be like, right, starting afresh. The players are 6-9 months more into the team, and hopefully we can bring in a few more, in order to kind of beef the squad out a little bit and really, really kick on. And I think you will quickly see there will be a bigger gap than what there is at the moment between ourselves and Sunderland. And it's whether or not Sunderland can keep going to the well, keep performing as the way they are. Because if they do hit a bit of a bad run of form, or a couple of their players are snapped up, which I wouldn't rule out, they could find themselves back in trouble again.
And PSR as well will play a factor as well.
Yeah,
for them, it's going to catch up with them too.
You can't go around spending
SCR.
They spent like 150 million and like that spending that sort of money after just getting promoted from the Championship when nobody expected them to get promoted from the Championship, like that's going to come back on you at some point. And CSR may well allow them to spend a little bit moving forward, but the players that they've got, there's no guarantee. And you've seen little dips in form from Sunderland in areas from certain players. There's no guarantee it's going to carry on into next season. This is very much a honeymoon season for them. We've seen it with the likes of Huddersfield. We've seen it with lots of other teams that have had honeymoon periods for a season and then dropped off because all of a sudden their fans and their players expect to be there. They don't quite, because teams work them out and work out how they're going to play, and they drop off. I'm not saying next season they're going to get relegated, but it might not be the type of season that they've had, because other teams will get better. They will drop points where they've picked up points this season. It happens all the way around. It's difficult to maintain it. And that's the one thing that we've done. Not just that we've been there, but we've been able to maintain it for a number of years. We're not quite there at the moment, but there's a chance that we might. I just want to
Netflix,
one more season, please. One more season.
Oh, love that series. Brilliant.
Yeah. It was series 3. Is it series 3 or series 4?
Series 4 it'd be. Series 4 if they did it. Yeah, I've watched all 3. I particularly like the Chris Coleman one. I particularly like that one. That was probably my favourite.
Oh yeah.
Enjoyable.
Brilliant.
Enjoyable. Marlon, the Spurs King TV. Big up to Marlon. As I said to Dad earlier before Chris came on, Deji and Toby were very thankful for all Newcastle United fans and Loaded Mag NUFC for what we did yesterday. And Marlon has joined in with the likes. I knew I liked this club. Thank you so much for getting Frank sacked. They're very happy. You're welcome, and thank you for the 3 points, Marlon. Hopefully we will chat soon. That is for sure.
Little update there, Pete. Little update.
Oh, I thought it was half time. I picked off it. I went back to the Villa game. Okay.
Could be game on.
Game on. Yeah, Hannibal's just grabbed the ball and he's off again. There's lots of other questions on it. One thing I wanted to mention when we were talking about it earlier, we were talking about strikers earlier, and Jono put out a suggestion here. What do you think, boys? Marmoush for Tonali?
No. It's not for me.
Look at
me straight away.
No.
No. No, can you imagine having to watch Tonali play for Man City and him ripping everyone else almost apart when he's back to his best?
You play like this, I don't mind.
Yeah, that's fair enough, but that's not going to last forever. The playing like that, he's going to have probably have a brilliant World Cup as well. No, and Marmoush hasn't done much. Oh, yeah, apart from scoring against us,
he loves playing against us. Yeah. Yeah. No, I although I have to say that, I mean, that deal, no, I agree, no, but I almost have come to the realization, or I've accepted the fact that I think Sandro Tonali will leave in the summer, and the reason I say that is because there is no smoke without fire, but I do think that he will go back to Italy. It's whether or not Italy can afford him. The only other outside chance I would say is maybe if like a La Liga team come in for them, or maybe a Liga in. And when I say Liga in, I'm talking about PSG. Yes. Yeah. That I could see. If not, maybe he gives us another season. But I don't know. I feel Craig Lee's just put hasn't he already left? Yeah. I feel like his head's gone already, and it wouldn't surprise me if the club have said, listen, just see the season out and you can get your move in the summer, and they're already making plans. I'd be very surprised if he moved to a different English team, because he doesn't strike me as someone. I don't think he's unhappy in Newcastle. I think he's unhappy in England. I think he wants to go back to the continent, ideally to Italy. The only problem is that Italy, they're gonna have to find the money. They're going to have to find the money. Whether or not we have to be a little bit clever with it, maybe like a Juventus or an AC or an Inter, whoever it is, and go, well, yes, you can have Tonali, but you're going to need to pay this. And they say, well, we can't afford that. And you're like, right, well, we're going to have to be creative then, aren't we? You're going to have to give us one of your players. And whether or not, we end up getting a replacement, or we get a player in, who's going to add to this squad that we've got. That could be a way around it. I don't know. Not necessarily like for like either. Could be like a bit like what's just been mentioned. Could be a striker. Could be a fullback. Could be a goalkeeper. Who knows? But I do expect him to go. I'd be very surprised if he was started the season with Newcastle. Very, very surprised. But I would equally be surprised if he went to another English club. I just don't see it.
Yeah. I know Conrad doesn't rate Marmoush, but I really do. I think he's
top player.
I think he's been wasted. A little bit like Julian Alvarez was wasted at Man City as that backup.
Yeah.
You're never going to get enough games and enough minutes when you back up to Haaland. You're just not. And that's a harsh reality. I think Mamouche is quality, and I think whoever he goes to next, he's absolutely going to smash. I would love him to be a forward player for Newcastle United, because I think he'd do everything that we want him to, and he technically is excellent. He's got that creativity about him. But yeah, I do agree.
Just to add as well, Pete, I don't think City would sell him to us, because I think City know he's a player as well. He will do a Julian Alvarez, like you said, and he'll go abroad. I don't think City would sell him to us, because I think Omar Mamouche playing in the Newcastle side week in, week out would be he'd bang goals in. He was. And I don't think City would sell him to us.
Isn't there talk of Alvarez going to Arsenal? Or is this their new well, yeah, that's what I've seen.
Oh, it's not 2-2. It's not. Oh my God.
It's a fantastic goal.
I'm so glad we never signed that Jurgen Strand Larsen. Needs to score more goals.
It's a hell of a goal. Is it Jamie Anthony?
Yeah.
I just watched it. I think, is it 2-2? But it's a hell of a strike. He's come off the left-hand side and just smashed it into the near post. Lovely goal. He's got a hell of a strike on him, that lad. He's scored a few of them this season. He's had some good games for Burnley. He definitely won't be staying there when they go down. But yeah, going back to the point. No, I do get what you're saying. I think if the money's right, I think he does go to it does stay in the Premier League, and I think he'll probably want to stay in the Premier League, to be honest. But you're right. I think they're going to want to sell him abroad, just like we're going to want to do with Tonali. We're not going to want to see him in the Premier League. We're not going to want to see him anywhere else. Yeah. For me, I'm not against Tonali moving in the summer. I just want is to maximize as much money as possible. For me, I'm not selling Tonali any less than 80 million. I don't care whether it's Juventus, Inter Milan, PSG, like Real Madrid. Someone just put in the chat, whoever it is. I don't care who he goes to. I just want minimum 80 million, because I want us to have made profit on him. 80 million plus is a significant amount of money, and it means that we can go on and reinvest into the team. That's what I want us to do.
Boys.
Oh,
I like that. Nobby Clark. Lol. Oh, boys.
But yeah. So with that, Liverpool are shy, aren't they? Liverpool,
mate. They're just. Yeah. Do you know what? We were discussing this yesterday, weren't we? Saying, do we want Sunderland to win? Do we want Liverpool to win? Now, I appreciate that. Obviously, Sunderland winning puts them ahead of us. But I've got to be honest, boys. Maybe it's because of where I'm from. I want Sunderland to win, because I don't think Sunderland's will finish above us this season. But I would love to see Liverpool just keep losing and just fall out of Europe. I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
Oh, is he?
Oh,
is it on?
Who's having us on? Come on, Nobby.
He's having us on. Fair enough.
Come on, Nobby. Jesus. Oh well, 0-0 will do. 0-0 will do.
Left of his face balls, Nobby. Jesus Christ.
Well played, Nobby.
Oh my God. Burnley 3-2.
No
way.
Why do I miss all the goals? I'm watching it. I'll keep switching. That's your fault, Nobby. That's your fault.
Nobby's just making scores up.
Even better for Nobby, that one.
You made me change over, Nobby. It's your fault. I blame you, Nobby.
Mate,
that's it. We're into the show. We're into the show now because of that.
I've just put something in the chat, and I feel for me mate's daughter. So I was in. Do you remember, Dad? I told you I was in the last man, and there was 3 of us left, and I got knocked out. Yes. So it's me mate's daughter and a fella who I don't know. Oh, look at him! No, look, it's out of Nobby.
It was a goal, by the way. The one that Burnley scored. There was a header that's come in. Henderson saved it and literally tipped it away, and it's come off the Palace defender and just rolled into the net. Calamity goal.
Jeez. Jeez. But no, Clon lad, he's talking about last man standing. So I was in it with 3. There's only 2 left. One of them is my mate's daughter, and she's picked Palace. And I'm thinking, oh, good selection. And the other person has picked Forest. And you know, I seen 2-0 Palace, and I'm thinking it's in the bank. You know, she can worry about next week. And now this has happened. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. I feel for her.
Huh?
Jeez.
Few more comments. I'll just get rid of a few. We'll whack a few more comments in. This is an interesting one. Lads, it would be fair to say that Frank was Premier League proven, done a great job at Brentford. How does he become a bad manager in a few months? I think that's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is an interesting one.
I think he at Brentford, he had everything kind of his own way, and it built up over time, and he had that kind of the running of that club. Whereas he's coming into Spurs, and they're on such a low coming. Well, hang on, they won a trophy in Europe. So, but they're just so piss poor in the league, and he would need a lot of time to get things right. I think if he was allowed that time, he'd eventually get it right. But because he's not a bad manager, but he's never going to, with the position they are in the league, he's not going to get into next season. With him, obviously he's gone today, but so yeah, no, he's not a bad manager overnight, but you have to be careful for where you go to as well as a manager, and also you have to be careful about who comes in as your manager if you're getting rid of your old manager. So it needs to be a lot of things to take into consideration.
Absolutely. Chris, I'm going to come to another question for you.
Yeah, go for it, mate. Go for it.
Claire G says, the sacrifices you have to make, Pete. I had to make some sacrifices in our picture previously. I had to just kind of crouch down just to make sure we were similar height, just for the photo. There was one at the end of the game. I don't know if we still got that one.
We still have that one. That one where you're bending down.
Yeah.
Someone's lifting Chris up there.
Yeah. I've got my arm around him. I'm lifting him up so nice and high so everyone can see.
Yeah.
These are the things we have to do.
You're a good man, Pete. That's all I can say. Yeah. You're a good man.
Absolutely. We just have to help people out.
Look at that from Tony Tarnbridge. What a lovely picture of 2 6-foot club members.
There we go. You know what, Tony? That's the kind of person I want to see in this chat.
I'm not having this. Bullshit.
That's the kind of guy you want to see there.
Wait, you do know when we all meet up, Daz is going to be like, right, we're going to get to this. We're going to get to like a human-sized ruler, and he's going to make us stand by it, and he's going to be like, look,
yes.
Oh, look at that, Jordan 2 for life.
Yeah, pop them up. But, yeah. Well, when we do the measuring stuff, I need to go to the toilet. That's all. But yeah, there you go. Look, I'm crouching down. Holding the trophy, it's so heavy that it's literally like I'm kind of like leaning over slightly. So yeah, it's a it is what it is. Everyone.
I suppose the pitch is level on the Newcastle
ball.
Foundation. That pitch is level.
Yeah, we're all still growing. Just a quick one. We'll whip through some of these. Lovely stadium. We talked about it. Wish we had a stadium like theirs. Talking about Spurs. One of the things that we said, Chris, and you can elaborate on this. I think we were talking. We sat down, and I think I said to you, if David Hopkinson, who was there at the game, or should have been there watching the game, if he's not looking at this stadium and going, we need something like this, then he is absolutely mad. But stadium class, isn't it?
Yeah. It's I spoke to family members, couple of Blues, and they asked me. They said, what's your verdict on the Hill Dickinson verse the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And for me, it's very, very simple. Both very, very good stadiums. Tottenham as a stadium, as a venue, is clear and above, like miles better than the Hill Dickinson. What I preferred about the Hill Dickinson is it's more of a football. Like I like, you know, when you're actually in the Hill Dickinson and you see it, I think it's set up better. I think it's tighter. You know, when they have reason to celebrate, it's very, very loud. But that kind of marries up because the Hill Dickinson was built as a football stadium. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was built as an events arena, and you can see that. But so in terms, if I was talking to David Hopkinson or, you know, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, I would be saying I want a stadium like Tottenham, but I want the pitch to be like the Hill Dickinson, because I think, and if you combine the two, you've got the best stadium in the country, if not Europe, hands down. But yeah, for me, it just every time I've been to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and obviously going to the Hill Dickinson a couple of times as well, I've just thought I'd love a bit of this for Newcastle. I'd love a bit of this. I know that, you know, St James's Park is steeped in history and it's got many great memories, and you know, it's an historic stadium, absolutely. But you know, if we're talking revenue, if we're talking kicking on as a club, if we're talking about growing, expanding, becoming better, being the best version of ourselves, and being able to invite, you know, away fans to our stadium. Like I said to you, didn't I, Pete? Most fans who turn up, or opposition teams turn up, must go, we're in for the game here. Yeah. We're in for the game, because these mean business. Look at this. Look at the surroundings. Look at the facilities. And if you're a player who's considering making the move to the club, you take one look at that stadium and go, I want to play it every week. And that's nothing against St James's Park. It's just the fact that it's being brought into the 21st century. Again, like I said earlier, there's levels to it. And when you go into that stadium, you go, they mean business. Yeah. And I think, yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm looking at that situation. Like I don't think I've heard a louder roar than when I went to the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Like it didn't last for long because we scored quite early and it went very quiet very quickly. But the atmosphere was just kept right in, because it's literally. And to be fair, Mike, when he was on the channel in the build up to the game, talked about it really, really well. The fact that the measurements of the stadium and how it was built kept to what Goodison Park was like, and it absolutely felt like that within it. It really, really did. And you can imagine when they've got something to shout about, it can be a cauldron. Yeah. And that's what you want. That's what you want to create, because we know we can create an atmosphere with a big open stadium like how we've got currently. Imagine having that stadium that's really kind of penned in and really making it uncomfortable for away fans and opposition teams. That's what you want.
Imagine, Pete, when you know, asking you this question is even more prominent. You were at that PSG game, that 4-1 game, and people say that, you know, best game in history, living memory. Imagine that in a new stadium with the acoustics. Imagine the noise from that stadium.
It'd be ridiculous. I mean, we make noise at St James's Park. We've been to games where we've made a significant amount of noise. Yeah, absolutely. That first goal was just crazy. I mean, even before that, just that with the players coming out, the atmosphere, everything about it was just unbelievable. It's the best game I've ever been to in my life, 100%. But we can recreate that. We can recreate that with the new stadium. There's no doubt about it. Newcastle United and our fan base is unique. For me, we're unique. We could go to a new stadium and recreate what we create at St James's Park. There was no doubt about it. And if you can add multi millions on top of that in terms of revenue to be allowing to get us the better players, I'm taking it all day. I just am. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with him.
Cool, boys. I think we'll bring the show to a close. We're gone past our 2 hour mark. But thanks for everyone for joining us and reliving the action of both watching on TV and being in person. So it's good to get the perspectives of both. There's a few games on tonight. I'm sure everyone's either gone to watch them already and catch up later, or is going to watch a bit of it now as well. We will be back. Stay tuned for that. You never know when. Maybe even tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows? Keep your eyes peeled on that one. And yeah, let's sign off with. Let's go for Nick. Nick. He needs to get back on that pitch. He needs to get back and dislodge Gordon or someone else to try and get back on the pitch so he can try and score a few goals like he did at the start of the season. We haven't played it for a while, so let's get behind him as well and get him back to scored ways. But see you in the next one. Have a good one.
Oh, come on, move a little closer. Come on, I wanna hear you whisper. Come on, settle down inside my love.